Hello, this is Old School from WhatTheBuc.net. I just got back from Buccaneers training camp. 2 sessions today. I tried to do a on-location shot from the other side of Tampa after the morning session, but apparently the quality was really poor. I want to thank Joe Bucs fan for tweeting back and letting me know that so I could take it down. I apologize if you guys wasted your time viewing it. There were 2 practice sessions today for some subset of season ticket holders. We're club season ticket holders, so we got to go in there. The morning practice was in shells with the exception of K2 because he doesn't ever use shells. He was in full pads. And I got to tell you, it was sort of a tale of 2 halves, and this theme will continue in the rest of the video. But the first half of practice was very much like all the other training camp practices, though it was very low impact at the beginning, right? They were doing their normal drills, the positional drills, and after they went through those drills, they started to break into some of the building drills, and I'll explain that here in a second. As far as who was out and who was not out, and I put this out on our Twitter account this morning while I was at camp. Notable absences were Brian Price, Myron Lewis, Michael Spurlock, and there was another one. I can't remember who the other one is, but those are the notable ones. Oh, Jeremy Stevens. Kellen was out there full go. It's not a surprise that only one of those guys was going in practice. They tend to alternate because they're very similar in what they do. So when they started doing their breakdown drills, one of the ones they do is this gap drill with the running backs. And I apologize because I wasn't ever a football coach. So I don't know the names of these drills. So if you're a football coach, you may know what these things are. Go ahead and hit it on the comments or send it into email. Where they were going through their gap assignments, where they were supposed to hit the gap, where they were following the fullback, what positions they were going to go in. Now the idea here is, as they run that with no defense, then they would slowly, once the other guys come back from their positional drills, and they were doing a lot of work on footwork, handwork, and get off on the defensive line. When they come back over from field 2, and they put those guys together in what's 9-on-7, right, where you got defenders out there against the offense, where you got the front 4 and the linebackers in there to try and protect against those running plays, they can see what they did in isolation, how that pertains to what happens when they got defenders on the field. And they were full go on this. Well, not full go. They were partial go. They were popping at the line. And then once the running back was corralled, then they had to run it out to midfield. Now, that's what they did in the running game. In the passing game, they were working on combo routes where you had 3 or 4 wides. Maybe you'd have a back out there, split wide, or coming out of the backfield. And they'd have read routes they needed to do. And there were a combination of routes designed to open up plays downfield. They would run those routes in isolation, and then again, when they went against the defense, they wanted to see how those looked. Sometimes they'd go 7-on-7 on that. Sometimes they'd go 11-on-11. And this is where it got interesting. As soon as they brought the defense in, whether it was in a full squad or whether it was 9-on-7 and 7-on-7, Coach Morris and the rest of the coaching staff really started to amp up the practice. And I'm not talking about the chest bumps that everyone seems to get all fired up about. I mean coaching. There was a lot of barking going on in the field. And the intensity level went up by an order of magnitude. It was tremendous. There's a lot of strong play out there. K2 looks great. He looks amazingly fluid. A lot of you guys are asking about Taylor, the big fullback. He had some good licks out there today. All the running backs look pretty good. Clifton Smith was out there today as well, so we got to see a little bit of Clifton Smith. And he definitely looks fast. It's going to be interesting with what he does when he's getting hit. Mike Williams was not out in the morning practice other than in a shirt. There was no injury mentioned, so I suspect it was just a coach's decision. He was out there for the afternoon walkthrough, however. They were working a lot on double moves today. The quarterbacks looked fairly accurate. All of them did, which is interesting. But the things that we've seen that are troubling, that are still there, are in fact still there. There were a couple things that changed, however. Josh Freeman in those combo routes started getting a little bit better at looking guys off and going to a read that was on the other side of the field. What he has a problem with is he isolates a side of the field, and he never comes off of it. Sometimes it's not just one player, it's one side. And he did much better on that today. His accuracy was very good today. Josh Johnson is still holding the ball too long, and I was twittering back and forth with Steve White. They've just got to tell this kid to stop going through all of his reads. He's going to have to make, 1 read, 2 read, run. Because right now he's just out-thinking himself, and that's not good. Other notes, T-Jack had a particularly good practice today. Corey Lynch had a particularly good practice today. Rondé Barber had a good practice. They were going one-on-ones, receivers against corners, and Rondé Barber, Akeem Talib, once again, both popped really well in that condition, which is really an unfair setup with the way those drills are run. But they both look very good in those drills. They seem to have Ryan Purvis taking some long snapping duty today. It looks like they're really trying to find a way to get this kid on the squad. I don't understand it, but they're working pretty hard to do that. Corey Lynch, got through on punt or field goal block twice. This guy just seems to have a knack for special teams, and he's going to find a way to get on this roster. Other notes, that's really kind of it. I can't convey to you really the intensity from this morning well enough. There wasn't enough 11 on 11 to give you guys a lot of drills about how Aurelius Ben looked or how Strouder looked. Strouder doesn't practice well, in my opinion. A lot of people are all high on him. I think he looks great in the games. He just doesn't practice that well. He has drops, but he always seems to amp it up, and that's fine. You've got Brooks and Nunn, who are both probably going to be cut. You're starting to see the separation occur in camp. Now, that the afternoon practice was incredibly anticlimactic after the morning practice. It was a walkthrough, no pads. Now, I kind of expected that after the intensity, and there was actually a Twitter quote, I think it came out from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers official one, of Taylor coming off the field talking to another player going, now that was a practice, and it definitely had that feel. In the afternoon, it was really install, special teams, walkthroughs, and pretty anticlimactic. So I don't have anything really to report from there, except for the fact that Brian Price was out there, Myron Lewis was out there, Mike Williams was out there, and talking to Mark Dominic, who came up into the stands, was very gracious, sat with a bunch of the fans around me for quite a while and chatted about the team. They do believe that Brian Price and Myron Lewis will be full go for the Chiefs game, which was announced will be a blackout for the local area. So there's your update from camp today. I'll be out at camp tomorrow for a special session, and I will try and do a video more promptly tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, make sure you comment it wherever you happen to see this video on my site or others, and come over to the broadcast Thursday night on WhatTheBuc.net. Thanks so much.